Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Booth, where we interview voice actors and actresses on machinimas, fan dubs, abridged series, and any online web series. I'm your host JD Carr, and today I'm joined with YaroShien. So, thanks again for taking the time to do this little podcast, man.
Oh yeah, man, this is a lot of fun.
So, I guess first things first, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Um, First and foremost, I am from Southern California.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good old SoCal, where pretty much our our minimum wage is the worst.
Oh, God.
Living expenses is horrible, and we have the most humid heats
Aren't you guys in
during
the
the
drought right
summer.
now?
We're in a drought, but we have the most humid of
Oh,
heats.
good.
I'm not even kidding you. It's horrible. On top of that, I live next to a lake, so
Mm-hmm.
that makes it like a billion times worse. Like, yeah, you can go down to the lake like during the summer, but it's like full of like two-stroke oil. So, so you could take a match to it and you can light the entire lake on fire.
I can imagine.
Um, but yeah, I'm a voice actor. I am an abridger.
Mm.
I I I am a audio engineer. I am a sound effect designer, and that's pretty much a lot of the things that I just do online. And that's not quite recently, but like actually, yeah, quite recently at the beginning of the year. So like
Mm.
that's when I like a lot of my sound effect work started picking up towards the end of the year like that. I'm also a voice of a recent anime sins thing that
Oh,
me and my
nice.
friend Jack just came out, and we're taking this week off to kind of just write up some new sins.
Okay, nice. That's it.
So yeah, yep, that's what I am and what I do.
Alright, nice. Oh, so first question to you is, so what inspired you to get into voice acting? Or, I guess, acting in general?
You know what? I've always had a slight interest, and this is one of the odd things that I will admit to is that usually when I'm alone, when I'm thinking of like cool ideas and cool like awesome kick-ass lines, I'll act it out by myself. I try to put like myself as a character or myself in general into a character's position. And I've always kind of done that because I really love cartoons, I love animation, I love movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always kind of done that ever since I was a kid. And what really pushed it forward was back in 2008. I was coming out of middle school. I had just gotten out of a thing called Drum Corps International. I was in Impulse,
Wait, you
and
said drum corps, right?
yeah.
Oh, dude, you're in the drumline? Nice. I was also a former drumline guy. I played the bass.
Which number?
Um,
1 through 4.
1 through 4. I played bass 4.
Oh, you had the biggest one. You poor son of a bitch.
And here's the
Oh
worst
no,
part.
I.
Here's the worst part. I'm the shortest guy in the drumline, so it's like boom, boom,
Oh
boom, boom,
God.
boom.
Yeah, that is the worst. Being the shortest guy in drumline because having to march like you have to march so much more farther than anybody else when
Mm-hmm.
when you are short. And then on top of that, since you have the biggest bass drum, it's also the most difficult to swing that thing around.
Oh, God.
Like I was only able to carry like number 2, and that was only because I had to take it up for somebody else. And like my back was already breaking like by the time I was like not even a quarter way back to the band room.
I could not lie
Yeah.
down for a week.
Yeah, that thing's just horrible. But I was in DCI, and I just got out, and my friends from DCI were I was like, "Hey, come and check out this new thing." And it was Team 4 Star.
Oh.
And like I knew that like Team 4 Star was like kind of doing something that I knew somebody else was doing, and I didn't know this person, and that's Little Karibo,
All right.
because back in, the good old YouTube days where it was basically a dumping ground for pirated media at the time.
Good
Uh,
times, good times.
when Little Kribo came out, like I remember, like I can't remember which episode I started watching him on, but I remember seeing him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. And I reminded myself, oh God, who was that other guy that was doing something like this? And then it comes to find out that it was Little Karibo. So I was like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. And so I was like, I really want to try getting into that, voice acting. I really like voice acting. That sounds like a really interesting thing. In high school, I got into drama.
Hmm.
Of course, I was already in the band. And so I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what do you do to kind of like do voice acting stuff? And one of my friends, and once again, this is like the early years of YouTube where like not even Let's Plays was exactly big, but it was present.
Hmm.
My friends had picked up this microphone and he was going to try and get into it, but he immediately didn't want to do it anymore. And so he had this like really crappy, like 3.5 millimeter microphone, and he just gave it to me because, he heard that I was trying to get into voice acting. I'm like, yeah, I'll totally give it a try. And that was my first microphone.
Hmm.
And on top of that, Audacity was in existence. What I also didn't know is that my elder brother and sister, who I do work with in abridging, had made an abridged series, which was a Vampire Knight abridged series, which unfortunately got taken down because of the copyright,
Oh.
all the copyright stuff. But they do have a little bit of a fighting video about like, oh man, they took down our video, like on Jade's channel somewhere. Um, and so they were doing that. I was getting into voice acting.
Cool.
They never once asked me to do anything.
Oh.
But a little time passed, like about a good month or two, and I found out about the Voice Acting Alliance. And so I was like, okay, let's see what I can find. Apparently, somebody was trying to start up a dot hack sign abridged series. And this was my very, very first abridged series that I voice acted in. And you can't
Nice.
find it. You cannot
Let me
find
guess,
it.
it got taken down.
Yeah, it got taken down like
Oh.
a long time ago, like almost like a month or two after it was put up, and never got around
Dang.
to episode 2. I played Shugo.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was also because like at the time my voice was very high, like somewhere around up here, like really high up there. And so, of course, with puberty, I dropped all the way down here.
Don't we all?
and like kind of just like the way like I saw the video really discouraged me at the time.
Oh.
I was like, oh God, I really don't want to do this anymore. But I continued on with acting. I played quite a few awesome roles in my drama club, and one of them was for Edgar Allan Poe on the play called A Midnight Dreary. And I
Oh.
loved being Edgar, you know, the personification of this character. And by the way, like Edgar Allan Poe, like I tried like really hard to figure out how to put on like a mustache. And at the time we didn't have like a makeup like kind of team. We kind of just had people who thought they knew what they were doing.
Just randomly
And
put stuff on your face and stuff.
yeah, they were just like putting stuff on my face and all that. And yeah, I was about to say no, just send me out there clean shaven. But luckily I have very curly hair, so kind of really worked on that. All we had to do was just dye it black, and I was set. Um, and some time passed. Episode like I forget. Not episode a. I was gonna do an episode of a Soul Eater Bridge, and that was
Mm.
back in 2010. It never came to fruition. And this
Uh-huh.
was also during the time that me, Jade, and Toshki were trying to put together an abridged team. A family abridged team.
I see what you mean.
Um, and so we never got around to doing it. Never gave any interest because nobody really wanted to write it. Nobody really wanted to voice act in it.
Mm.
And so we kind of just dropped the whole thing.
Uh,
Another year passes, and I start up A Birchless Vampire, episode 1.
mm.
You can watch it. I'll suggest you do.
I will. I will.
No, stop. Don't.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh god, it's the worst video. It is the worst video I've ever made, like episode 1 through 3, probably the worst.
Aw.
And more towards like I really wanted to start getting into voice acting now because like okay, I guess I do have kind of a solid episode. People kind of liked it, and so I guess I'll just run with that. Try and figure it out. And then I just got into this whole slew of like what abridging is, like figuring out the abridging community, meeting new people, and that's I guess a lot of just sitting there in my room acting out characters really brought a lot of good things to today, and I really love it.
Nice, man. So let's see. Next question is, how do you cast for your videos or for your projects or your shows? How do you cast? Personally, how do you cast?
You know what? Over the past many years, I have had many different casting choices based on what I have been capable of. The very first thing like I really wanted to start using was the abridging forums, which was an absolute mess to do. The Voice Acting Alliance, another kind of mess to do, but it's so. The difference between the two forums is that the abridging forums have very strict rules, ran by an admin, in which she does still run it today.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it's not as strict as I'm making it out to be. It's just that these are guidelines that you have to follow, and Code really does a good job of doing it, because sometimes people will go up there, just post, here's my project idea, blah blah blah, and they never say anything about characters, never say anything about like due dates, never say anything about this, just send me a email. And to be honest, I was actually one of those people for the very first time. And I won't say what the project is because it never came to fruition, and I really wouldn't want to talk about it. And so that's kind of what happened. So, and the other thing about the other forums is that it's just very saturated, because there are millions of ideas for probably the same series. And it didn't matter, like, no matter how much, like, you would want to try to get that series idea up, somebody has probably heard of it already.
And that would cause people not to be interested in it, right?
Yeah.
In a sense.
Like, I tried to run, like, a Durarara abridged audition, which turned out very successful, but it was also very poor as well, because it was a whole bunch of kids who had no idea what they were doing anyways.
Oh.
And the writing wasn't writing isn't the way I write now today. The editing was probably horrible. A lot of the decisions that was made into it were not the best.
All right.
Like, and I probably still have some test videos on my other channel about it. And so it leads up to what it is today. I don't do auditions unless I really have to. Like, if I cannot find somebody, but fact of the matter is I always can. As sad as it sounds, as horrible as it sounds, and I'm not trying to sound like a bad person about this. It's just that when you can pretty much go on to Voice Acting Alliance, or you can find any good abridged voice or any good fan dubbing voice, and I sit there and say, I like that. I think they play that character, and it's not hard to get into contact with them because usually their screen name is their Skype name, and it's a kind of a bit of a fact. in a way.
Mm.
So like if I'm going to cast somebody, like I'll go and watch like 5 videos of what they've done, you know. And if I really like the quality of the mic, I like the tone of the voice, I like the acting style, I like a lot of things about this particular voice, I will most certainly cast them for, or I will most certainly cast them for something. And I always have a keen eye and a keen ear about a lot of that stuff. So when back in my early days, when I would sit there and I was trying to find anybody of anybody to just play anything, and to be honest, that's kind of how it really did start. Is because I could try and put up an audition for, per se, Ruby, from Rosario Vampire.
Mm.
One of the problems with that character is that nobody was interested. Same thing for Mizore. And so it was a constant like battle of, God, I gotta always, post an audition. How are the lines need to be said? When am I gonna get these auditions in? And I probably only get like 2 or 3 auditions, and none of them I like. And so I wouldn't even bother with the auditions. So I start just going around, looking at demo reels, looking at videos. And so that's kind of how I just began casting. So usually if I feel like I'm at a loss or I can't find somebody to play a certain character, I'll just go to somebody's demo reel or somebody playing in a video, and then I'll try and contact them. And it will probably take a day. It could take 2 days. It could possibly take a week. But usually at the end of the day, it's so much more simpler to cast being who you know and how you know them.
So
and
connections in a sense.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way like the real world of casting is. That's kind of the way like real world, acting is. Like it's who you know and how you know them. And so I've always made a casting decision on, who I've known. So I don't just pick, willy-nilly. I usually pick, people that I know who are trustworthy, have the ability to act, and are just absolutely amazing, as an overall, and I choose them as that character. And I would kind of be at a loss for certain people not playing a certain character. To kind of give reference to Allison, to be honest, like I was looking for anybody, I mean absolutely anybody, to play Mizore, but there was just so many terrible auditions, so many terrible people playing, like, who didn't have like the chops to do it. And then I get down to Allison's demo, and I just sat down and said, okay, I will give up on this series if this is not good. If I cannot sit there and find anybody, and this is my last try, I will give up on this series. And Allison, like her demo reel just really, really killed it, in a good way, just absolutely on point. And so I contacted her as fast as I could. I was just waiting, I was kind of just being very patient about it. And then she finally gets back to me. It's like, I'll totally do it. And that was amazing. Like, it was just, in probably one of the best casting decisions for Allison, on that. And then when it came to Fate Cero, me and Omni were trying to figure out who do we want playing who, and we got to pick, voices that we know that we will like for these characters.
All right.
I sat there and said, you want to know what? I think Allison would be great as Saber. And Omni's all like, who is Allison? Who is Ali Floro? And I was like, really? You don't know who she is? She's absolutely amazing. And so I showed him all the videos that she's been in with me. I showed him like all of her Go T13 stuff. I showed Overlord, and he was like, okay,
I'm sold.
We'll give it a shot. Yeah, no. Omni wasn't sold
Oh.
at first sight. Like at first glance, he was not sold. And I was just kind of in my own way. I was kind of like begging, like, oh, he's gonna cast, like, we're gonna cast her as this. I don't think anybody else can do this. And she did like her part for Saber, and he absolutely fell in love with the voice. He fell in love with her technique, her abilities, and then she, in extension, really helped the series as well. And I'm gonna say, in the last episode of Fate was probably the best extension she has given to the series. But overall, like, I'll like, and now you kind of see like how that, kind of is. Like, I don't choose willy nilly. I do choose people on who I know and how I know them and what they can do. So, that is the way my audition process is.
Nice.
And quite recently, I'm running into that issue again, where I really need to pick a voice in order for them to play a particular character. And so I found somebody. I'm just kind of just waiting on whether or not I need to make that decision.
All right.
But she does know that she does know that I do have interest in what she is capable of.
That's great, man. It's great.
And, yeah, and like I said, that's just the way an audition process is for me. It's not really an audition process. It's, I choose, the right people for the job based on my perspective and what I've known for many years of doing what I'm doing.
Cool. So let's see, you've been in multiple series, whether it be Fan-dubbing the Bridge, correct?
Yes.
So my question to you is, like, when you get the script from a director, do you prefer live voice direction, or you just go off the notes that they just give you, like, say, oh, I want you to say the lines in this sort of way with this voice, but in a certain tone?
I prefer live directing, and if I may kind of go into a spiel about that.
No problem. Go ahead.
The fact of the matter is about live voice directing is that you don't know what the director is thinking. And usually on the internet nowadays, the director is usually the writer. And that goes without saying it about a bridge series, overall. So when you get a script, you should really, ask yourself, do I know how those lines are said in the context that I've been given? And usually some abridgers do write like little notes on how to, kind of give an idea of what the line should be said.
Yeah.
That could work, but it also more often than not, it doesn't work. And that is because context doesn't work, in everybody's mind the way that they think they should. Because sometimes, like, you wouldn't want a line to be said, in a way that's overreacted. Instead of, you're going to give them just, the regular reaction. And I run into this with one or two voice actors. And that kind of does ruin the flow of the writing as per the perspective of, one would write. And so I tend to make this argument. Do you know what the director is thinking? Do you know what the writer is thinking? And, if you're going to say, I prefer not to be live directed, that's fine. But you do realize that you may not sound up to par with everybody else in your context. And that's just not to be offensive. That's just kind of true. You kind of have to, listen to the way that people tell you how to say the line. Like, you don't need to say the exact inflection, but kind of go in the direction in which the director wants you to go in. That's the point of being a director. Instead of, looking at notes on a document, it's just easier to listen to how it could have been said in the way that you could say it in that context in order for the flow to sound right.
True.
Oh, that's just my spiel on it, though.
That's good. Still, I like your thinking on that. So, oh, here's a fun question for you, man. So, do you have any funny stories that happens when you record lines, or anything happen to you when you record lines?
Uh,
Any hilarious stories to
oh,
tell?
I gotta. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I have a very small room. Like I keep everything. Like whenever I move to a new place, and quite recently I just moved with my parents and everything. I usually pick the smallest room
Oh, okay.
because that's how you keep the reverbs down, and you could tend to you may not get a lot of space, but you tend to have like better recording quality in a smaller area. So I got blankets hanging up from the roofs. I got soundproofing in the corners, and that's just a way that I could keep the reverbs down. Now, my parents know that I voice act. My neighbors know that I voice act.
Oh man, you're lucky.
One of one of the things about like having to move to a new place is that you have to go door to door and tell them, "Hey, listen, I voice act. So here's the thing: if it sounds like somebody is dying, it might be me, and I'm not dying. I'm never dying. If I'm dying, I won't be home." And so they kind of like, and then they kind of go and it's like, oh, that's really interesting, I've always wondered how that kind of process really is, and that's just the usual like spiel it is with other people, like telling them, oh, I'm a voice actor. I do a lot of yelling, and I tend to be very loud, and I tend to scream Hail Mary, every single time, and so that is that that's kind of just the awkward phases it goes through on that. And my parents tend to they don't like it when I'm really loud when they are home, but when they are home and they know that I'm voice acting, they kind of just let it be,
Oh, that's
because I
good.
always end up with the character that yells a lot. I'm always the one that's yelling the loudest for anything. like I and I'm really glad that I got a good microphone, because I think any like low quality USB microphone would not be able to take any of this.
God.
But but um but yeah, so there were just some lines that my parents kind of get concerned about,
Oh,
because
jeez.
they don't, because they know it's acting, but they kind of just like they don't get the context of it. And the worst time ever is like recording at home and doing Fate Cero lines, because when my one of my characters, which is Ryunosuke, um uh his line is, if I can remember, well, I love killing children.
Oh God.
That line
Oh
specifically.
jeez.
My
And
mom was
and you
walking
yelled
past my
that
door.
out loud like that? Well, not out loud, like, but you know what I'm
I
trying to
had to
say.
say it. I had to say it as loud as I could in order for the mic to really pick it up, because even in the editing process, Omni has a very touchy feely way of like how he likes things to sound, but the way that I sound, and I had to kind of bring up the voice a bit so then the mic could pick it up.
Mm.
I had to say it loud enough. My mom was standing outside my door, and this is one of the bad things of having a small room, is
Oh
that
God,
they can
no.
hear anything if they're close enough. If they are just close enough, they can hear it. And she's right outside my door. She walks past, and she knows I'm acting and I'm voice acting. I got the blankets up and everything. And so, once we were done, and I walk outside my room, I need water. I need more water because I've been drinking a lot of water throughout the session. And usually sessions with Omni are like a good 40, 45 minutes long. And there's a
Not
lot of
bad.
back and forth, but like, with me and him, usually with directing and whatnot. And I tend to argue with him about a lot of things, but if it's so draining sometimes with him, just only sometimes. He's a really good director, and that's why Fate is probably one of the amazing things. Aside from the writing, you know, totally not conceited there. But I go outside my room and I'm going up to get some more water, and my mom walks up to me and says, "Aaron, I'm a little concerned, and I know you're voice acting, and I know you're doing these voices, and you're playing very particular characters. It's just that I'm very concerned, and that you know." I'm not saying that you should stop. I'm saying that there are things you just should not say out loud. And while your mother is standing nearby. I'm like, well, Mom, that's understandable.
I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard not to laugh out loud.
No, it's totally fine. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you think you can get away with like saying whatever, but you sincerely can't. Like I think I said worse things on Fate, Sarah. I mean the absolute worst thing.
I can imagine.
And that's just because of the thing about Fate is that we can write the worst and absolute things, but in the context of the way we're saying it is funny because that's the whole point. It's a joke. It's an abridged series. You're supposed to laugh, and that's why I think we get away with so much is because we can make that joke. We can make people laugh, and that's very important. Is say when your mother walks by and you say, "I love killing children." It's just not. It's just not a plan for a good time, you know.
First things first is anyone staying behind your door, because you said that out loud.
Oh, Jesus! I think I get my. I think I like at certain times like saying certain lines. If there was a cop standing behind my door, I'd be immediately arrested.
Oh God, swatted. Anyways.
Like, and there are just like I guess one of the other things that like I tend to do when I am recording is that I laugh at my own stupid jokes, and it's sad to say, but if you don't laugh at your own stupid jokes, you know it's just not going to be an okay episode, at least okay, because you have to laugh at like things you do, because if you don't know, you don't know if anybody else is going to laugh, and I think people just with my kind of humor like. What I kind of do. And so that's the point, if you're gonna make jokes, you gotta kind of laugh at them. And if you don't laugh at the jokes that you kind of make, it's just not, it's not gonna be good. I know people say, it's sad to, laugh at your own jokes, but that's not exactly true. Based on the way that you say it in the context, somebody else is gonna laugh at it, even if you're laughing at it yourself. And quite recently, in a new, not really a new project, I came out with a thing called a fairy tale abridged.
Ooh.
With my friend Blood or Mike.
Okay.
And I'm working on episode 2 right now, and one of Natsu's lines, and this is in a back and forth with Aragorn, and so Natsu's all like, are you all right? Second question. Are you part of Eisenwald? Who's asking? My dick? What? I come fire! And that's just the way it is. And I can't stop laughing at that line, even no matter how many times I replay it. It's really funny to just listen to the context and the back and forth between these two characters. And I just love how, it works. And if I'm laughing, I know Blood's going to laugh at it. I know a lot of other people who are going to watch it are going to laugh at it. And that's what's important.
Yeah, true. Let's see. Oh yeah, here, another fun question for you, man. Like, you've seen like a lot of shows, whether it could be anime, web shows, or cartoons, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me, who's your favorite voice actor and actress? You can list as many as you want. Go.
Oh, okay. All right, so my favorite voice actor and voice actress are actually a couple.
Oh.
Um, and I work with them. So this is kind of a bit biased, but I do work with them. And every voice acting couple I really do love, because whenever you get them together on the same show, it is
You know it's gonna be
it's
good.
going to be a good time. So there are two couples that I absolutely love to listen to. The first one is Allison and Kyle, Ali Floro and Just Kyle David.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love Allison's style. I've known her for a very long time. I love Kyle because he can play some really interesting roles if you cast him, in it just in the right kind of roles. And he does really damn well. Really good voice actor. And so when you kind of combine the two, it's really great. But the sad thing is, I've never ever in any episode or series have combined the two.
Aww.
And that's kind of what my plan is in the future. And I have a huge plan on it. I have a huge plan. But listening to them in Overlord, listening to them in their new Fairy Tale Abridged, I just love listening to those two specifically. And it's always fun listening to those two.
Cool, man.
And the second couple I absolutely love is Expo Monkey X and Disaster. And they are like amazing friends. This is also kind of another reason why my bias. I really love Fairy Tale. I have been planning on getting the Fairy Tale tattoo on my arm
What color?
for a very long time. Red.
Nice.
And the reason why, because I was gonna do it many months ago, but I had to donate blood at the time. And there's this thing over here. I don't know if it's just California or if it's all tattoo shops, but on Friday the 13th, it is basically half off tattoo day at a lot of local shops here, from Lake Elsinore to Norco. And so I know my friends were planning on going to get, a new tattoo. And, I was just like, wow, there's a lot of interesting tattoos. And the tattoo artist is like, you want to get tatted up? I'm like, no, I have to donate blood tomorrow. I'm really sorry. I'll think about it next time. Oh, my little dog just came in. Hi, Bella.
Aww.
She usually does this. I don't have a door latch, so sad to say.
That's fine.
And so I was like, yeah, I would actually really like to it cost to get a tattoo about 4 inches wide, 4 inches high, on my left arm. And then I pulled up the image, and he's all like, I can probably do that for about $25.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which, yeah, it wasn't. It was not bad. I'm like, so I'm still wondering if it's just only California. So if anybody out there like knows if it applies to all tattoo shops, comment him. Don't tell me. Comment him. I'll read the comments.
Yeah, comment on the video, guys. Any information would do.
But,
Thanks.
But yeah. So I really love, like, I haven't caught up on the latest chapters in the manga just yet, but I really love Fairy Tale. I really do. I love the series. I love the concept. There are just so many heart-wrenching moments in it. And the thing about Carrie and Anthony is they know I love Fairy Tale. They really do. And there are just moments in Fairy Tale history that I am like, my heart cannot take it.
Aww.
And so I have to go to them to tell them my heart can't take it.
Aww.
And they understand. They completely understand. It's just, my heart can't take it. They completely understand. Like, it's like, so I usually have like these like Fairy Tale breakdowns, and then me and Carrie, whenever we get into a call, they usually last for about a good 40, 45 minutes. And this is just with a lot of like back and forth bullshit talking about anything of everything. And uh and recording with Anthony, and that's Disaster, is he is very straightforward, but he'll sit there and tell me like I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs yet.
Oh, you
And
must. You
he's like,
must,
dude,
man.
we need to watch Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, and I'm still waiting on like when he has the time, so then we can watch Reservoir Dogs. I really want to see it because like he gives me high hopes for this stuff, and so I told him like I've never watched Reservoir Dogs. No, I love the director. It's just that I never seen the movie in and of itself. And he's all like, "Oh, it's a really good movie. We have to like set up a night, do like a movie night, and then just watch it." I'm like, that sounds like an amazing time. And so like he informs me on a lot of things, like in not just only the fairy tale fandom, but on just like amazing things in general. And he's also someone that I do kind of go and talk to, like even like if I kind of feel down about something, or if I feel like I should really like talk to somebody, he would be somebody that I would go and talk to. And then they both like under certain circumstances, which I will not mention because it is not my right to, but they're usually someone that I can talk to, those two, in a certain light of situations.
Okay.
And one, again, I will not say it because I am in no position to say so.
That's fine. That's fine. Anyways, back on the topic of voice acting. So, what is your favorite type of voice or voices to do for any type of roles you get?
Quite recently, I had done a voice for my friend Decidia97, and I have to say, hands down, one of my crazier voices that caused me to lose my voice, and in order for me to have to set up another schedule in order to continue on with the voicing of the character. And that was for a D. Grayman abridged, Decidia97, and I played the character Kamui. Now, Kamui, like, I gave him like this mad scientist, kind of crazy, over eccentric kind of, style. So, like, he would be somewhere around like this, and he'd be screaming and all over the place, and he would have lots of fun, and probably would be like up higher or a lot crazier than that. But I had to reschedule for another time to record because my vocal cords was just shot. And another voice that I tend to use a lot recently is my kid's voice. And I've been doing this a lot with my friend Quiz Guru, in which he runs a Gurren Lagann abridged, or I guess he booted his Gurren Lagann abridged, so it's called Epically Abridging Gurren Lagann Encore, and I'm casted as Simone. And so the voice for Simone is like, I have to be like all the way up here, and I'm screaming, and I'm going crazy. There are so many scary things in the world, and I'm a kid. I don't know what to do. And so that's the joy of like doing those kind of voices. And then the other voice that I do have to do, because it is kind of in its own way iconic, and this is literally how and this kind of will lead a bit into a story if we're okay with it.
I don't mind. Go ahead.
So A Course of Fate Cero, I was kind of walking around Anime Expo this year, and I saw this Lancer cosplayer and this Kaneth cosplayer and this Rin cosplayer, and they were just, they just got into the hall. And so like, I did one of Lancer's lines. I think it was like, "But master," and the Kaneth cosplayer immediately got it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you watch Fake Cero too?" And then it's like one of these bright moments. It's like, all right, perfect Cero. She like it melting, like, oh my gosh, you're one of the writers of Perfect Cero. And it's kind of one of those joyous joys because they know that it's like it's one of like it's a favorite thing. Now I know that there's people who really do care about this, like in real life, instead of just watching all the comments. There are actual people who really like the series, and so doing the Kenneth voice is real joy because it is everything I'm not. It is Southern. It is me attempting to be Tracy Morgan. and he is just very deep voiced. And also kind of a bit of a badass in his own right. Really isn't. So having to do the voice of Kenneth is a bit of a process. Because I try to sound like Tracy Morgan. And then I add a bit of a southern accent. And there we go. and so those are my 3 favorite voices to do in voice. And each one has its own joy in doing it. I have a deep, deep gruffy voice, but it's not my favorite voice is because I record with it. It sounds like it's too enclosed instead of this open sound that I can usually do with all my other characters, and I just don't know why.
Nice. So let's see, moving on from voice acting. So, this is a personal question from me. So, do you ever plan to voice in machinimas?
I am always looking into doing anything new. Machinimas, I've never tried, so I would love to really figure out what it kind of is, or because it's not like abridging and it's not like fan dubbing. It has its own context. It has its own original story. So I would love to do a machinima. It sounds very interesting.
Well, you're heading to the right place because I do machinimas as well. Nice. Yay! But in the meantime, I don't have anything right now. So give me a couple days now, and we'll have something. Anywho, oh yeah, so tell me about your major. You saying you go into sound effects and stuff, like audio engineering?
My major is in being a college student, and to which I am actually taking this next year off is because I plan on really focusing on making content.
I see.
For quite a bit of time right now because I recently had a very horrible experience, which kind of led me into this really bad downward spiral.
Sorry to
hear
that.
I could go into college, but if I do, it would not be a healthy move mentally and physically. So that's kind of what I'm trying. That's kind of what I want to avoid for right now. So I'm not going in this semester or next semester. I do plan on going back to college, but I have already worked towards my AA. I just need to finish all my major classes, which I need to finish one last semester of English and one last semester of math. And I do major in acting, and I have a minor in audio engineering.
Oh, okay, there you go. Sorry if I kind of confused the two, in a sense.
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay. Do you see yourself still doing abridging in 5 years, or do you still plan to continue abridging if you're still interested in it?
Quite honestly, I see myself actually being a real voice actor in 5 years.
Nice.
Mainly because a lot of my goals are now putting me towards doing that. And even though abridging is one of the huge things that I absolutely love, I have to admit the fact that if I can no longer do, abridging because of what I love, I think that would be the best choice. Abridging is abridging is in its own right time consuming. It's a hobby, and much like any hobby, yes, you can make money off of it, but us abridgers that have done this for like so many years, like as for me, I've done this for the past 4 years, nearly 4 years actually. Um, if we cannot see, a really good success at the end of it for as long as we have been doing it, it's just not an okay idea to continue on doing this and then try and make money off of it. Now, I will admit, running a Patreon has always been a part of my mind. And admittingly, I do think about it up because, I want to do this full time. I would love to be able to, come home, log into my computer and just immediately start working on something that I absolutely love. And I love abridging. I really do. And there's nothing else in the world that I would rather do besides voice acting than abridging, because it means that much to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love writing the jokes. I love making people laugh. I love everything about it. And that's just the way it is. And if I did run a Patreon, to be honest, not a lot of people would watch the video. Not a lot of people would sit there and go onto the Patreon because it's statistics. If I ran a Patreon over on Fate, it would be somewhat successful, at least. Because we know that, if we can shorten the gaps in time in which we post Fate, people will definitely, donate to the idea, and they really like it, and we would start expanding upon it even more, and that would be an amazing goal. But as for an individual such as myself, it's just not a possibility. Like I have posted update videos, I've posted things that have nothing to do with abridging, and people just don't relatively watch them because they don't care.
They just want to see the new episode.
They just want to see the new content, and that is what they care about. And I don't disagree with them, and I have to sit there and say, yeah, that's just the way I think too. I do have, certain like people that I really want to donate to Patreon. That's just what I would love to do, because these are people that I absolutely love. Team 4-Star, Little Karibo. Those are two of the biggest people that I really would donate to, because I not only have the money capabilities of doing it, it's just that I don't know if I should or can. Because in the event that per se I got into another accident, or that I got into like a huge financial downfall, I would have to give up providing to them, the people that I absolutely love, the people that I absolutely care about, and I can no longer help them. I would feel like I would let myself down as well.
Oh, I see.
So I'm more than willing to donate $1 a month directly to them, which is what I have been doing, because I'm more than capable of doing that, and that's what I do care about, and that's what I'm capable of providing as of now. Now, if I can start donating $5, $10, I'd be more than willing to, and I'd be more than happy to do it. But as for right now, I just cannot. And I can kind of see how people would be like that if I were to run a Patreon, and that's kind of a scary factor to, bring up. So in 5 years, I really don't see myself, continuing on with the bridging unless I did run a successful Patreon. That's just a fact. But if I don't, I really just don't think that I could do it because, it is a hobby. It doesn't make money. The views are, they're not asinine. They are just simply representations of people who really just like the content you create, no matter how much work you put in. But it is not something that somebody like me can make money off of. And
Yeah.
that's just a fact. So it's like I said, in 5 years, if I cannot make something successful out of abridging, I will most certainly be something successful, whether it be a voice actor, a sound effect designer, or something completely other.
Good to hear. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's another serious question. So, what do you think of the abridging community as of today? Now that like tech and programs are like easy to access now with the new influx of new creators and voice actors and actresses. What's your opinion on the abridging community as of today?
As of today, it is much different than it was back then, because back then I didn't know what to think of the abridging community. Like it was kind of messy. I have been told it was way messier by one kids himself. I have, I've kind of just, the way it is today, I think it's just very docile. If that's a good word, because nobody steps on anybody's toes, and that's a good thing. Because back then, anybody would step on somebody's toes for probably no good reason. I stand to be somebody that was like that back then. And yeah, admittingly, yes, that is kind of how I was back then. But today, I see it. It's kind of docile. It's kind of soothing to look at because, you see so many people working with so many other people, and it means a lot to look at something like that because because it's like I said back then. It was kind of somebody would step on somebody's toes and somebody would get angry. Nowadays, nobody's angry. And it's good to know that nobody's angry. It's just everybody's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. But then again, that is just my opinion. And that's just my view of it, my perspective. And so, I'm not saying nobody, please, just nobody start something, please. I'm saying, I think it's just really nice, and it's really awesome to enjoy it like this. And so that's kind of the way I view it. Now, if you take a step over onto the abridging forums, it might be something completely different than what I said, but I don't take a step onto the abridging forums very often nowadays.
Yeah, I've been there before. I do not want to go back there again. Anyways, I think we're nearing the end here. So, Yaro, do you have any, I guess, advice to anyone that wants to become a voice actor or actress or a bridger?
If you want to be a voice actor or just an actress in general, I suggest doing what I kind of did. Act out yourself. Act out a character, someone that that this is kind of cool in its own way. Kind of. You want to make this character, sound like a badass. Then act him out as a badass. You kind of want to play this character as kind of a bit of a wimp. Then act him out as a bit of a wimp. That's that's a good way to practice. Stand in your room, put on some music, and act out something. Do something acting, whether it's yourself or with somebody else. Always just kind of do back and forths between characters. Get an understanding of how they are. And I know I play a lot of characters that tend to be mean to each other, but that's kind of just I guess in a way a good way of writing. If you're going to become an abridger, I would suggest knowing the voices. Like if you're going to cast people, like know people, like get to know Allison, get to know me, get to know Cydia, get to know Izanami VA, get to know a lot of the people who are not exactly too big, or these large voices, like One Kids, like Little Karibo, like anybody on Team 4 Star, because there are sometimes they are just not capable of doing it, or they just don't want to do it. And as sad as it sounds, it's kind of true. Uh, Definitely understand lip flaps. Immediately know that lip flaps are very important because they bring a whole new life to your project. Uh, get a good microphone if you're going to be in voice acting. This is kind of my golden rule, because back in the good old days, you were able to get a Guitar Hero microphone and you could get away with that. Now you can't. Like or at least that's kind of my perspective. You really can't or shouldn't. Even though some people argue that you shouldn't get a Yeti, get a Yeti if you are looking kind of just do something that is quick, capable, and if you know how to soundproof very well. That's kind of what you should. If you want to get like a good setup, get a preamp, an XLR microphone, which usually you can get for about $60. My first XLR microphone is a CAD GXL 2200. They were about $60. They should still be $60. They are high quality. It gives you a high pass setting, and just think about getting a preamp if ever the option comes up. Think about just getting like, I think an Art 3 is what it's called. Like, I have been really thinking about getting one, but you don't have to get one, but these are things to get. Get a preamp, that a USB preamp for a XLR microphone, which comes with 48 volts of phantom power, because these are very useful things, and you'll usually get a much more higher quality and understand about soundproofing. If it's okay, I'll Car, if it's okay, I'll send, if you're okay with it, I want to send you a link to the way that I have my kind of little box.
Oh yeah, sure. I don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's soundproof foam. Post it up and let people kind of see what it is, because that's usually what I use. Like, if I don't have anything set up, like if I don't have the blanket set up, I'll usually just record with this box, and they're usually for like 1-2 lines, and they're usually just probably throwaway characters. But yeah, this just know that soundproofing is very important if you get a high quality mic, because they have a much more higher pickup rate than any other microphone, and adjust your gain to how you really need to. And that's kind of my whole entire spiel about it. So act out, always be acting out a character, understand lip flaps and other cool things with your editor, and some editors are suggested. Premiere by Adobe is usually the highest standard of editing, but I still use Sony Vegas every time.
a lot of people I know still use Sony Vegas.
I have Sony Vegas 13, and I absolutely am in love with it. It's really great how I edit with it. And get a okay mic setup. If you can't afford, the huge, antique consumer, microphone and USB preamp, then you don't have to, and you could go with a Yeti, or not even a Yeti, like something by Shure, a USB Shure. It's maybe like some $200, but it's still a lot better than the Yeti. I usually never suggest the Yeti, but I have known lots of voices that have many voices that do have Yetis, and they end up sounding absolutely amazing. Tara, Mina, very amazing voice actresses have it, and they sound amazing. And I know this is also kind of biased because this is coming from me, but sound effects. If you're gonna do a fighting anime, sound effects. You can contact me about sound effects. It's just that I probably can't help because I'm so busy with other people's sound effects. But yeah, so understand sound effects. Kind of just, if usually anime or whatever you are doing has a large variety of sounds, just kind of get to know them all. And there are billions of sound packs that you could just download. And it takes time, it takes practice. You have to level everything, I know, but it's so much more simpler to knowing how to put sound effects to something because it will bring a lot of life to your project.
True words of wisdom. True words of wisdom. Anyways, Yaro, I want to thank you for joining me in this episode of In the Booth.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So, yeah, this concludes this episode of In the Booth. I'm your host, JD Carr, and as always, see you next time, and I'll have some interview next week. So, bye, guys.